This is our Smackdown Breakdown video, and we have got so much to talk about. This was a stacked episode coming from Germany, and obviously the main event was a 3 stages of hell match, and that would be our major talking point coming out of this show. I think until we got to that main event, this felt like it had little talking points, tiny little things, and actually a lot of the matches I think really under-delivered. If we have a look at the match scores, we've got good 96, good 92, good 94, good 88. It's not until we get well into this show and we get the Carmelo against Shinsuke match that we actually go into a great range, but it's that main event. I can tell you our main event got a great 85 rating. It was really close to getting a all-time rating, right? That's how much the community enjoyed that main event, 3 stages of hell. And honestly, it was very, very enjoyable. Very, very good. So, 3 stages of hell. Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. We started by seeing Drew McIntyre outside in the snow. We were in Germany, kind of like that. Here you can see wrestle purists asking, is this the next undisputed WWE champion, right? We go inside the arena and it's Randy Orton that starts the show. So Randy Orton making his way down to the ring, and the crowd were really hot. The crowd were really vocal. You do get that when it comes to these international audiences. We also got a little bit of 6-7, just a little bit of 6-7, 6-7 making its way into 2026. We would see that as well later in the Carmelo match. Carmelo doing a bit of a 6-7. Randy was in the ring and very quickly was interrupted by Trick Williams. Trick Williams came out and I kind of felt like his promo was a bit of an intro promo. It was a little bit of like, this is who I am. Yeah, this is my show now. There wasn't really much that was said. There wasn't really any kill shots that were made. It was more just a message of your time is up, my time is now. That kind of a thing, right? Some people in the chat, and certainly a lot in the arena, thought that we might get an RKO. I wasn't convinced by that because I think Trick is genuinely going to be a big star in the future. I don't think they want him getting laid out by Randy with an RKO, right? So I wasn't expecting that. We did get a bit of a beatdown moment, though. Just before we got to that, we had this moment here. I didn't see too many people talking about this, but there's this moment right here where Trick knocks the microphone away, right? Knocks it away. Look at Trick, look at Trick. Sure, he comments, right? There's just that little word that he mouths, right? And then Randy, rather than turning his attention back to Trick, actually does that. I think what happened was that he knocked the microphone out of Randy's hand. I think it went flying out, and I think it hit either a cameraman or someone in the front row, because you could just see Trick Williams mouth the word. There he goes like that, looks out, and he's like, clearly something went wrong in that moment. Clearly someone got hit with that microphone when he knocked it out of the hand of Randy. Randy even then took a little moment here to kind of go like that, right? And have a little look out, and then he lays out Trick Williams, right? So Trick Williams gets dropped. From behind, though, appears The Miz. So The Miz from behind attacking Randy. This, of course, gives Randy the opportunity to deliver an RKO, not to Trick Williams, but to The Miz, which makes a lot more sense. Randy then gets out the ring. Rey Fenix comes down. Randy says, kick his ass. Yeah. So that sets up our first match. As we said, it was a bit of a nothing open. It was just a way of getting Randy out in front of the crowd. It was a way of getting the crowd to be introduced to Trick Williams. It was a way then of getting an RKO on The Miz. It was a way of getting to Trick against Rey Fenix. We do this match. You lot said it was good 96. Trick Williams grabs a hold of the tights. Trick gets the win. That makes sense. I think they've got real high hopes for Trick Williams moving forward. So giving him a loss here wouldn't have made much sense. Of course, we don't want to bury Rey Fenix either, so grabbing a handful of tights, you know, works. So there we go. Then backstage, we had Drew and Damian just have this brief interaction. This could actually be really important now that we know who won that main event, right? There's lots of stuff that we would find out on this episode of SmackDown. One of them is that there is going to be a fatal four-way at Saturday night's main event. Winner of that will face the WWE Champion at the Royal Rumble. This could very much be that match. This could very much be that match at the Royal Rumble, right? And they kind of teased it already there. Also, we saw that Drew had stolen that Dusty Rhodes watch to try and get in Cody's head. He said he's going to get disqualified in that first fall, and then I'm only going to need one more fall. So Drew's strategy is to wind up Cody so much that he gets DQ'd in that first fall, and then he just needs to take one of the other two falls. As well as that, backstage, we had Alexa talking with Nia and Lash. There was no sign of Charlotte. They made out like Charlotte was injured, was not very well. I don't know if that was true. I haven't heard anything about that. But she was on the phone to her saying, look, it's all right, just rest up. I thought what was interesting was Nia and Lash were like, oh, look at this. So you get a singles opportunity, Alexa, and Charlotte is not around. She's only here when it comes to the tag titles. That's interesting. And so already we're seeing a little bit of a wedge being driven between Alexa and Charlotte. Alexa wasn't buying it, right? So I don't think it worked, but it'll be very interesting to see if we continue to do that as we head to WrestleMania. Charlotte versus Alexa at Mania. There is a possibility of that, right? There is potential that that's where all of this has been leading. We know this group has already gone on longer than was planned. And so, you know, the end could be coming as we get closer to WrestleMania. So there we go. Word of advice from someone who's been there. Drop this one before she brings you down. That's what Alexa came back with. A word of advice for Lash. Just saying, okay, you think there's an issue between me and Charlotte? I would not be hanging around Nia Jax, right? She's been known to turn on quite a few people as well. So, very interesting little backstage thing. Then, of course, we went to the match. This was Giulia against Alexa. I think the United States Championship was on the line in this match. I didn't feel like Alexa had much of a chance. They hadn't really built this match. We've only just put the belt back onto Giulia. So this did feel a little bit like we were doing it for the sake of doing it. Kiana on the outside, standing on Alexa's hair. Referee had to come over and have a word. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realise. So, yes, this was an interesting little matchup. You lot said it was good 92. Lash Legend gets involved, costs Alexa. This results in Giulia retaining. So Giulia defeats Alexa to retain that United States Championship. Nia and Lash then attack Alexa after. Nia hitting the Annihilator. Obviously, there's going to be repercussions with all of this. So, yeah, it seems like Alexa, Charlotte have got to deal with Nia and Lash. That seems to be a big problem for them at the moment. Giulia retains, as we thought she would. It was fine. It was fine. As we said, good 92 from the community. Backstage, we saw Jordynne Grace. She has effectively joined SmackDown. So, yeah, she's on the SmackDown brand now. Chelsea came over. She was saying, why are you dealing with this person? We should be talking about my rematch for the United States Championship. Of course, the match was made for Alba, Fyre and Jordynne in the process. So we found out that would be a match later in the show. Kit Wilson arrived as well, and word has now come out that Elton Prince has had successful neck fusion surgery. So that is a serious injury, and that is going to keep him out for a long time. So no surprise at all that we are going with Kit Wilson as a solo star now, because it doesn't seem like Elton Prince is coming back anytime soon. So yeah, that news came out during SmackDown. There's a picture doing the rounds of Elton Prince in hospital, kind of giving a bit of a thumbs up. So Kit Wilson is wanting to have a word with with Nick Aldis about toxic masculinity, right? Then we had Matt Cardona. So he obviously came back last week. And he said, when I first left, I had 3 options. 1, I could be negative and bitter, feel sorry for myself and just fade into obscurity. 2, I could coast off the Zack Ryder name. Or 3, I could reinvent myself, bust my ass, do whatever it takes to get back. I chose number 3. What he did next, I thought was really weird. He bumped into Cody, which is fine. And then he said he was coming for the WWE Championship. Now, this is weird because for me, I mean, Matt Cardona was that rider. He was an enhancement talent that really was not bothered about, right? Him coming back, not bothered about, right? He doesn't do anything for me. I was never a viewer of his on the indie scene. I know many of you out there did watch him on the indie scene, and I'm sure you've got a lot of warmth towards him. But to me, he's someone that was in WWE, like Elias, right? An enhancement talent that's gone away and has come back. So him kind of like saying he's coming after the WWE Championship is so far removed from kind of where mentally he is in my mind. You know, I mean, for me, we need to build this guy. We need to seriously build this guy. You need to show me what this guy can do and why we should even be having this conversation. This would make a lot more sense later in the show, right? Maybe you saw this and you was a bit confused by this as well, but this would make more sense later in the show, right? Then we went to our next match. So this was MFTs against the Wyatts. I thought they looked good. And at times, honestly, I was looking at Tama Tonga and I was getting Demolition vibes. Might have been the face paint. It might have been, he's got a bit more size about him now, Tama. Before he was a bit slimmer than this, but he's got a bit more presence. But I mean, I was looking, could you imagine like Tama and JC, maybe with Tala? There is something there with the MFTs. I do like the face paints. I do like this as a presentation. I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, they were coming down. They were taking on the Wyatts. So good to see the Wyatts in action. Match was okay. It was not really anything special. It was a pretty standard tag match. Here we could see Solo with that lantern. That was the distraction that meant that the MFTs got the win. I don't know why Howdy was the one that needed to be pinned, right? It would make more sense to me that you would pin Gacy or Loomis. Why did it have to be the one character that's probably got the most aura, right? I mean, we don't have the Fiend anymore. The closest we've got to the Fiend is Uncle Howdy. So why are we pinning Uncle Howdy? I'm all well and good with MFTs winning, honestly. I don't mind MFTs winning. This is a feud, and so it's okay for the Wyatts to not win everything, right? I think they'll win the feud ultimately, but there's still decisions being made that kind of leave me scratching my head. It doesn't make sense to me as to why you would have Howdy pinned instead of Gacy or Loomis. I mean, if you pin Gacy or Loomis, that then warrants you a tag title match. If you pin Howdy, I don't know. I mean, maybe that warrants you a tag title match, but I think it takes a bit away from Howdy that he can be so easily put away. You know, Howdy to me is kind of like Bo's Darkness. It's a bit like how The Fiend was Bray's Darkness, and he just gets beaten here. I don't know, man. I do struggle with this bit. I'm okay with the MFTs winning, but not really this way. And another big talking point is the fact that Solo has now taken the lantern. I think that's interesting. Wyatts are going to want that back. Maybe we can dig into the importance of the lantern. Perhaps we can find out a bit more about it. And actually, that would be good. If we could start fleshing out some of this stuff, that would be really good. That is the kind of thing that I have been missing. Backstage, we had Carmelo bump into the Miz. There was a great moment where Carmelo was like, "Hey, Randy," and Miz was like, "Oh my God." Obviously, he got RKO'd earlier in the show. But the Miz came out and he basically said that he had spoken to Aldis about a championship opportunity. Strange. The Miz, who's not done much and is, not in a good place on the card at the moment, is having a word about a championship object. This is another one where you go, hang on, Matt Cardona's weird, going after the WWE Championship. The Miz wants to go after the WWE Championship. Like, what's going on again? We would find out, right? Carmelo would move on from the Miz and he would bump into Ilja. Ilja would then say, look, we are going to fight one day, but not today and not now. I need to speak to Nick Aldis about something different. It's like, what's going on there? It really did feel like something weird was going on. We were clearly building towards something, right? We built towards this as well. So Jordynne, Alba, we know that match was set up earlier in the show. We get the match. It's short. It's a squash. It's the lowest rated match. Good 88%. Jordynne beating Alba, no problems. Alba's just a bit of a side piece for Chelsea Green. We've seen her lose quite often. Unfortunately, it's just where she is on the card at the moment. It gives Jordynne a win. Jordynne's new to SmackDown. This was her debut. And she needs to win her debut. Again, you know, we've got to reintroduce these people or introduce these people. I think when you move up from NXT, it's like a brand new beginning. So there's a lot of people that won't know who Jordynne Grace is. So we need to give her momentum. This was a little bit strange as well, but I do get it. Jade Cargill comes out, goes up to Jordynne and just says a few words. It's clear that these two are going to have a match. And I think that's probably more a reflection of where the women's division is on SmackDown right now than anything else. It's thin. I mean, look around. There's next to no babyface women on the SmackDown roster. I mean, we're having to get Alexa out of that tag team with Charlotte so that Giulia has got an opponent. Michin, B-Fab, you know, they've been around Jade because we just don't have any alternatives. We call up Jordynne Grace and already you've got the women's champions sniffing around her. So I think, unfortunately, and I am going to say unfortunately, we're going to have to do this as a feud because I say unfortunately because I feel like we need to introduce Jordynne to people. We need people to know who Jordynne is. We need to give her momentum. And I think she's about to lose a match to Jade because Jade has got no other opponents. I think Jade Bianca might be the plan for Mania. So I think Jade keeps the title. Until we get to that, though, she's got to do something. And so it feels like, you know, a match with Jordynne Grace. It's not a big problem. I would just like to see us build Jordynne up a bit more first. And I just don't think we're going to be able to do that. I don't think we got the time because we ain't got the roster. And so Jade needs opponents. I think it's going to be Jordynne. So again, not a massive problem, not a major problem. I think it'll still be a good way of showcasing Jordynne, but I think she's going to take the L, to be honest. I think she's going to take the L. I don't see her winning the championship, you know, this quickly since coming up from NXT. Not when I think the plan is Jade Bianca at Mania. Backstage, Sami Zayn said there's a part of him that wants Drew to win the championship, but ultimately he thinks Cody is going to retain. Then we had what we thought was Axiom, but it turned out to not be Axiom. There was a great moment where Nathan was like, when did you get your mask back? And then boom, got laid out. And then turned out it was Johnny. It was Johnny. And he was wearing that mask, and then the real Axiom arrived. So I thought that was a really good spot, actually. I thought that was a very clever little moment, very creative. Then we went to our next match. This was match number 5. Match number 5. We were well into the show at this point. This was the open challenge, and it was answered by Shinsuke. I think there will be some out there that will be a bit down on that. Shinsuke answered a challenge I think Sammy held at the end of last year, so he's already answered an open challenge, but I think we're sort of running out of options. I did wonder if it would be an NXT talent. I did wonder if it could be like Ethan Page or, you know, someone along those lines. I did wonder if it could be Ludwig Kaiser because he's from Germany. We were in Germany. We don't really see Ludwig anymore because he is El Grande. But what if he came out as Ludwig? I thought that would make sense. It wasn't. It was Shinsuke again. And this match was great. Honestly, no complaints. Really fun. You lot said it was great 64. Carmelo does manage to get the victory, but there's a real show of respect afterwards. I think any hope of us doing anything of significance with Shinsuke is probably gone now. I think that ship has very much sailed. Yeah, you know, I still hope one day we can do something with Shinsuke. I'd love to see him, even if it was just briefly, have a run with that World Heavyweight Championship. I just don't think it's going to happen now, honestly. Cody says that Drew bringing Dusty into this story is cheap and lazy. He's probably not wrong, actually. I do feel like we've had Dusty dragged into a lot of stories with Cody. It's just it's low-hanging fruit, isn't it? It's low-hanging fruit. Here we go. This is what everything was building towards. Next week, there's going to be 4 qualifying matches. The winners of those matches will go into a fatal 4-way at Saturday night's main event. The winner of that match will take on the WWE Champion at Royal Rumble. Now, these are the matches. And look, just by chance, Matt Cardona's in it. Look, just by chance, Ilja Dragunov's in it. Look, just by chance, The Miz is in it. So all of a sudden, it all makes a great deal of sense. So who is going to win here? Now, a really good point actually was made during our live stream that Saturday night's main event is in Canada. So could it be a case that Sami does get the win so that he can go into that fatal 4-way and actually then go... Could he win? Could he win? I mean, I don't like thinking that Sami's going to win because as a Sami fan, I've been let down many, many, many times before. So I don't know, though. He's in Canada, Saturday night's main event. Could he win there, go to the Rumble, take on Drew? I wouldn't expect him to beat Drew, but Drew against Sami, could that be where we go now for the Rumble? What does this mean for Cody, of course? We're going to get to all of that. But I don't know, I think that's the most interesting match. I think Damian wins over Solo because Solo's in a feud with Wyatt. I think Randy wins because, well, he's a massive name. Why would you leave him off Saturday night's main event? So I think Randy, I think Damian, I think that's the hard one to call. Maybe because we're in Canada, it is going to be Sami that just edges it. And I think Trick Williams in this, I think the only reason Matt's here is because it gives Trick someone to beat. You know, I think Trick's going to get past the likes of a Matt Cardona, get past the likes of a Miz. You know, he got past Ray Fenix just about on this week's episode. So I think Trick, I think Randy, I think Damian. I'm torn on that, but I'll lean Sami. And then, of course, we get to Saturday night's main event. Drew is the champ. And so then we are going to have to figure out who's facing Drew at the Rumble. And it could be Sami, or it could be Randy, or it could be Damian. I don't think it would be Trick. So I think Trick's the one that I feel pretty good it's not going to be. But, I mean, Randy, Damian, Sami, all of those are viable options. So, yeah, very interesting. Again, the question I think is more, though, what if Randy gets it from Drew and then somehow Cody gets back and we get Randy versus Cody, which is a feud a lot of people want to see? I don't know. I don't think people are going to be thrilled if Drew drops the title at Royal Rumble. There's a lot of Drew fans out there that are really pleased that he got the win tonight. But I don't think they're going to want him to lose it in like a few weeks' time. I think chances are he's going to get past Rumble, to be honest. I think Drew will get past Rumble. No word that he's meant to be champ going into Mania at the moment, though. So, I don't know. It's honestly, what happened in this main event really did catch me by surprise. So here was Drew coming down with the Dusty watch on, yeah? Making his way down. He would take it off. Crowd were, I would say, majority Drew. But there was support for Cody. Cody did get chants. At one point, there was a "Let's go, Cody. Cody sucks" chant, right? I mean, when John passed that torch to Cody, it seems like he passed that as well. That kind of split crowd reaction. So I think that, the crowd were largely with Drew, but Cody had some support. This was Cody making his way down to the ring. The crowd were booing him, but as soon as it was time to do the song and the woe, they all joined in, yeah? Drew won the first fall thanks to a low blow. So there was a low blow. It was just a normal match. It was quite quick, actually, the first fall. Second fall, stage 2, falls count anywhere. Cody got put through a table. There was a moment here where Cody had a fan's phone. He was biting the head of Drew, and he took a picture. He even took the phone back to the guy, and the guy had to do one of the. Cody was like, "Thanks, mate." And the guy was having to juggle the phone so it didn't fall on the floor, right? So we had that moment. We went to the back. Things got really brutal. Cody using a banana on Drew. And so, yeah, we were fighting everywhere. Look, there was a splash through a table in the crowds. We went back to the ringside area. Crossroads on the commentary table meant that Cody got that second fall. This then meant that we went to the third stage. It was obvious we were going to go to a third stage. You don't bother setting up the steel cage and then not use it. So it was obvious it was going to be 1-1 going into the cage match in this 3 stages of hell. So it was 1-1. Cage got lowered, and then we were underway. And there was some really good stuff during this cage match. Massive superplex in there. Massive Cody cutter. I mean, Cody off pretty much the top of the cage, around about here, coming down, hitting this monster Cody cutter. Loads of stuff. Future Shock DDT, 2 crossroads in a row, Claymore, loads of stuff, right, that they were throwing at each other. Cody had a bit of blood in his hair as well. And then we get to the finish. Okay, so Drew is trying to make his way out the door, and then someone with a hood arrived. We had heard rumors that Jacob was backstage. That had been spoken about all throughout our watch along. And so Jacob arrives. It is Jacob. He takes it off, and look at the look there as he looks over at Drew. He then proceeds to beat up on Drew. He attacks Drew, right? He goes after him and starts beating him up. Now, it's only when Cody grabs a hold of Jacob that Jacob turns around and starts going off on Cody. Okay? I don't think Jacob has got any alliance or allegiance to either of these guys. Jacob's out for himself. But I do think that he was here to go after the person that attacked him just before Survivor Series, right? I think he was here. He's been away for a little while. We haven't seen Jacob in a little while. I think he was here to go after that person. It feels like that person is Drew. Because if it was Cody, he could have got Drew out the ring, yeah? That way Cody would have lost his title. And then he could have gone in, closed the door behind. It could have been Jacob and Cody alone in the ring. He didn't do that. He went after Drew and he beat up on Drew. And it was only when Cody came over, put his hand on Jacob, that Jacob then just started going after Cody. And I think that was I think he was in fight mode. I think he was in murking anyone in my way mode. And unfortunately for Cody, because Jacob did that, it meant that Drew could get out the ring. So Drew gets out the ring. You can see there, he flops on the floor, and that is the moment that Drew becomes the new, undisputed WWE champion. You can see Jacob still in the ring with Cody. Now, Jacob actually turns around and sets his sights on Drew again as soon as Drew starts leaving the ringside area. Again, for me, if Cody was the person that Jacob wanted, he would have just kept on him. He would have stayed on him. This would not be of any interest to Jacob whatsoever. If it was Cody that he wanted, he would still be laying it in, wouldn't he? All that frustration, he wouldn't be paying any attention whatsoever. He wouldn't care about Drew. I think it's Drew that he has set his sights on, and he turned his sights back to Drew as soon as Drew had that belt in the entranceway. Yeah, honestly, you lot said it was great 85. This was a shock. As soon as Jacob comes down, I felt real good. He was going to go after Drew and Cody was going to benefit. My thoughts in that moment were, I don't like this. I don't like this because those people that want Drew to win are going to be really frustrated that again he has been screwed over, this time by a returning Jacob. And I think people are going to have a big problem with that. And that's not going to help Cody. You know, people have sort of started turning on Cody. They find his championship reigns to be quite dull. I blame creative for that. I don't blame Cody for that. I blame creative for that. I think the stuff they've had him doing since he won at WrestleMania 40 has been incredibly underwhelming. You know, there's been very little creative that he's been able to get his teeth into. I think the best feud he's had since WrestleMania 40 was this one with Drew, where the bus was involved and he went round Drew's house and they burned that picture of Cody and Dusty. Like, some of the most exciting things we've done have been in this feud. And I find that so frustrating that you dropped the ball so many times with Cody to the point where people started turning their backs on him. Like, you let him down. You failed Cody Rhodes. And as a result, people started to get bored and they wanted something different. So I find that quite frustrating, to be honest with you, when you think about, you know, how great it was when he finished his story and, you know, how great it was that, you know, he was able to have that moment at WrestleMania 40. And it did feel like a real special moment. And the fact that we could then not capitalize on that and we just threw it away, I just think that's really disappointing. And I think it's one of the biggest black marks against this Triple H era is the mishandling of Cody as champion. And so, you know, anyway, we are where we are. There's lots out there that are happy that Drew has got this title. I do think it makes things interesting in the sense of Damian could go after Drew, Sammy could go after Drew, Jacob wants to go after Drew. Like, there's some very interesting matchups and options. I do have to go back to what I said before, though, and that is every rumor about WrestleMania has involved Cody being in the main event with Roman. Cody Roman is the big match that has been rumored for quite a while now. And so unless they're going to add Drew to that and make it a triple threat, or just completely change the plans now, this was definitely something I did not see coming. So yeah, big shock, big surprise. And score-wise, I just don't know. I think for me, I'm feeling about a 7-5 type range. I think there's going to be some really high scores for this show. I am personally not feeling that. I think it does have a major talking point. Jacob's back, new champion. I'm not crazy about it, to be honest. I was not looking for Drew to be champion. And so I don't think it's hit me the same way it will have hit others. I think that a lot of this show was okay, but nothing more than that. A lot of the matches were a bit underwhelming. Good 96, good 92, good 94, good 88. I mean, you've got to say a lot of that is not really where we would want it to be. Backstage stuff was interesting, and then of course we found out why we were kind of setting up that tournament, that those qualifying matches next week and Saturday night's main event. But this was not a bad show. I mean, I feel like it was well worth watching, and so I think 7.75 is fair, but I won't be shocked to see people giving this even higher scores than that, right? And if there are going to be lower scores, I think I'll be surprised, actually, if they're drastically lower. I think my score feels fair. Well, honestly, it's what my gut is saying, so yeah. So there we go. A very, very interesting SmackDown. One that provided an ending I did not see coming. So there we go. Thanks for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget, we are back on Monday with Monday Night Raw. That is in Germany as well, Dusseldorf. So that should be interesting. I think we've got Gunther AJ on that show. So I'm sure they're going to add more to it, of course, and make that an interesting show. We are in this European tour at the moment, so that's also going to start early. But yeah, the road to Saturday night's main event, the road to Royal Rumble, we're very much on that. And it just took a very interesting turn. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.